1980s was a time of politics, invention, and disasters. To start, former Hollywood actor Ronald Reagan was elected in 1980. Many people may not have liked him because he opposed the Equal Rights Amendment, gun control, abortion, and busing to achieve racial balance in schools. His vice president was George H.W. Bush. Right after being elected, in 81, there was an attempted assassination. His main goal for regulating the economy was using his theory of Reaganomics. He wanted to reduce taxes and deregulate businesses so there would be more money to spend and to supply more jobs. He also wanted to keep the military up to date with the Cold War and nuclear war by increasing military budget. He wanted to build up the U.S. military power to challenge the USSR. He proposed the idea of Strategic Defense Initiative. It was a space-based missile defense system. Critics called this Star Wars because the movie was also very popular at this time. In 82, there was a recession where there were more than 50% bankruptcies. In 83, the inflation eased, and this caused an economic growth that lasted through the rest of the 80s. However, because of Reagan's tax cuts and deregulations in 1987, the stock market crashed because Reaganomics caused insider trading and there was a loss of $1 trillion. Reagan believed that the federal government had become too big and intrusive. He slashed social programs and undertook a campaign to reduce regulations affecting the consumer, workplace, and environment. Reagan also accelerated the war on drugs because of the popular use of crack by young people and celebrities. His popularity grew, and when 1984 rolled around, he was re-elected, beating out Walter Mondale. He kept pushing foreign into the Cold War, and in 87, the USSR and U.S. signed the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. This treaty eliminated all medium-range nuclear weapons from Europe, and Gorbachev also withdrew Soviet troops from Afghanistan. On top of the Cold War, the Iran War was happening, and the U.S. gave support to Iraq through technology, intelligence, and equipment. To help lessen the Cold War tensions, he even suggested that the Berlin Wall be taken down, even though it was not taken down until November 9th, 1989, when Bush was reelected for president. Consumers became more sophisticated in their taste, like buying European cars and designer clothing, and the more glamorized stock market and financial world. All of the economic growth led to many different cultural impacts. People looked up to more expensive items like cars and nice homes. The style also changed drastically. The new romantic era inspired the new fashions. Big hair was in, padded shoulders, big bright neon clothes, large stiletto heels, mini skirts, skinny jeans, aviators, and leather. Style was deemed the bigger the better. The music era began following the shooting of John Lennon when Michael Jackson released Thriller, which was his second solo album, along with the CD being invented. Music became more diverse with the new wave, heavy metal, rap, techno, and etc. Big bands included Metallica, U2, Pink Floyd, Queen, Whitney Houston, and Madonna, who is said to be one of the most successful pop artists of the 80s. Popular movies, shows, and toys and restaurants came out in the 80s that are still loved today. E.T. was premiered in 82, followed by Dirty Dancing with Patrick Swayze in 87. McDonald's and Taco Bell, which weren't opened in the 80s, gained much of their popularity in this time. During this time, too, The Simpsons, Miami Vice, and MTV premiered, along with Madonna music videos. Forever changed the way people would look at music. The Rubik's Cube was released, the Cabbage Patch Dolls became the new craze, and video games became big at this time, too. Inventions like Pac-Man and the PC were big. In sports, the U.S. hockey team beat the Russian team in the 80s Olympics, and this is said to be one of the biggest upsets. While everything may have seemed great with all the inventions coming out, there was not the case. In 1980, a man became very sick, and doctors did not know the name for the disease. After 2 years of research in 1982, doctors named the disease AIDS. This launched an uproar of further research, worry, and fundraisers like the Live AIDS in 1985, which was a concert that was known all over the world. Global audience of 1.9 billion, raised more than $193 million through the whole tour. Also, in 1980, Mount St. Helens erupted, causing over $1 billion in damage and 57 deaths. It is said to be one of the worst volcanic disasters in American history. Other major events of the 80s included the launching of the Space Shuttle Columbia in 1981. It was said to be the first space-worthy space shuttle in NASA's orbit fleet. And also in '88, George H.W. Bush was elected. His goals included better foreign policies and no tax raising. He was president until 1993. The 1980s overall was a stressful yet enjoyable time of change.